All right. Welcome, welcome. This is our, what is that, second or third Zoom series, and we're very excited here today to talk with Robert Mitchell of Hydrorevolution. He was with us at FitnessFest last year, and we're really glad that Hydrorevolution and Robert are coming back in April 17th through 19th, 2026 at Ability 360. I convinced Robert to do a master class, and he is so excited about it because Robert knows the equipment. He's been with the equipment. It's just such great. I love this resistance equipment. And we'll talk a little bit about, I feel like a lot of non experienced or trained or certified instructors don't understand that resistance equipment and buoyancy equipment are two separate things. They're both great, they both have their own place. We're going to talk about why we love resistance equipment so much, but we'll talk a little bit about that. So, I'm Janice Jakes, the owner and founder of the Fitness Fest Conference and Expo. And Robert, with Hydro Revolution, why don't you tell us your title, where you live, and your background, and how you came upon this exciting company and this equipment?
Well, thank you, Janice. Thank you, Fitness Fest. Yes, I'm Robert Mitchell. I am now the newly Chief Operating Officer at Aqua Group, who we own Hydro Revolution, and I'll get into more of our titles and brands because it certainly has grown over the years.
Yeah.
Um, but I basically oversee everything from customer support, channel development, working with our commercial customers, but also individuals, and just hearing the daily stories of how equipment like this has impacted people's lives. So that's kind of my good feeling of the day that, offsets any shipping issues that may, come up here and there. But so I started with Aqualogic, which is one of our various brands. This was back in, I want to say 2010 timeframe. I was working for another company selling endurance fitness equipment. I was an endurance runner myself, marathoner, ultra marathoner, and through a small business advisor, got introduced to Aqualogic just to help them with shipping. It was two gentlemen running that business at the time. So I just started shipping orders for them. I knew nothing about aquatic fitness at the time. I was a land-based, grew up playing football, gym rat type guy, but also got into CrossFit, which ended up hurting my back and herniated a disc in my lower back and stopped being able to do the things that I normally did. The gym workouts would always set it off, or running would feel good at a time, but then it would set it off and I'd be out of commission for, days, weeks, a month, where it was just flaring up. So my whole life was basically changing. And even with that, it took me probably about 3 or 4 years to really get in the water with the Aqualogic equipment and give it an honest go because of that stigma. People, generally I was in my, early mid 30s, coming out of this background. I'm like, why am I going to train in the water for? I'm not, quote unquote old.
You, you don't
Okay,
have
I
a
am
shadow
injured.
cap on, right?
I am injured now, so maybe this is something, but it just wasn't, I didn't picture myself doing that. I didn't really know what the benefits would be. But literally, as soon as I basically took it upon myself, because as I grew within the company, we had some acquisitions. I became director of operations, more involved in the sales. I needed to start using the equipment. So I was kind of forced into it. But I realized, hey, I can get the same type of muscle pump that I was used to from working out in the gym, land based weights. I was getting very similar muscle pump in the water. And the best thing is my back wasn't getting upset. So I wasn't doing specific back workout. I was doing full body workouts, targeting all the different muscle groups, but I was getting all the benefits, but I wasn't getting into that cycle of train, injure, rehab, train, injure, rehab. I was just training, getting benefits, and staying healthy. So it was really pretty much a life changer for me because I found a safe environment, aka the water, which I could go in and work out. And as I started working out, I realized, hey, this equipment, I look a lot different than the people doing the foam. I had people ask me questions every time I was in the water. We're trained at the YMCA, and I started individually kind of coaching people off and on, just explaining how it worked, what the benefits were, and then I'd show up, they'd be using it when I got there. So it was just this ongoing progression. So as I got more involved, the company had been growing. Um, and do you want me to just continue, Janice, with more of the company history?
I didn't know that whole story.
Yeah.
That's a really great story. And talking about the stigma of, it's only for old ladies but you're way back probably I want to say it's probably at least 20 years ago, the hydrotone. I was using that and I told you, like I said, the yellow, and you said, okay, will you show them the blue? I have no Hydro Revolution equipment to show you because I sold it all. So so this stuff that is incredible. So that was hydrotone and it used to be yellow. I have a pair. And so it's the athleticism, it's so great for training athletes. And also what I love about the resistance equipment that Hydro Revolution has is that it's so versatile. And we have about 12 different contracts in the for water aerobics for aqua fitness in the Phoenix metropolitan area, and we have a retirement community. And Mabel's on the call. I'm going to have her, you have the bells too. I'm going to have her just pop them up though. Well, I'll have you pop them up, Robert, so we don't have to spotlight Mabel. So so this retirement community was using, yeah, those. They look like helmets. So actually, I think the ladies call them helmets, but that's okay. So we have the buoys and the foam buoys, and I've just always been besides back in the day with the hydrotone, our facilities have been more used to it. And our older adults, our seniors at this Maravilla retirement community, they stopped using them because they were hurting their arthritic hands. So they bought these really ridiculous things on Amazon. And when I came to sub one time, I'm like, oh my God, what are those things? And what are you even doing with them? They're not they're just some Amazon something or other. They're not even buoys. So then we convinced, I went, actually, I forgot about this, Lisa, you and I went and we did a little demo with them. We did a little video with the bells, and they loved them. So they purchased them, and now these people are not spring chickens. We're talking, wouldn't you say, Mabel? They're like 75, 80, 102, whatever. And they they're easier on their joints, they're easier on their hands. And what I love about the versatility of them, besides it being better for your hands if you have arthritis, is that you can give it more power or you can give it less oomph. And so with the not to knock the foam buoys because we use them as well at different locations, but you can't really do that with the foam. It's like this or that. Maybe you can make it deeper, go deeper in the water or not. So we love the bells. If you can show them again. And then Mabel said she loves the pink ones. I think the pink and the gray. Um, and then
I
do you have
think
any other flavors there?
yeah. So the hydrotone, we do still have the yellow, which you mentioned. That was the original color for the first 30 years. We have blue, pink, black, and yellow. They're all the same size for the hydrotone. For Aqua Logic, which is this design here, a little more compact, obviously, allows for quicker movements. So depending on workout style, maybe hit style training, these are actually my favorite. This particular size are medium, is available in the pink, which Mabel had, or the smoke gray. We have the same design in a smaller green, which either allows faster movements, maybe neuromuscular training, or rehab. Sometimes they just want a little bit more than what the water offers to begin with. Or we have a much larger blue version, same
Yeah.
design, So it functions the same way in the water. This is just going to provide more resistance at any given tempo. So the great thing about training in the water, like you said, you could have, not only the 70 to 102-year-old individuals, but you could have the healthy, in shape 30-year-old, 20-year-old utilizing the same equipment, doing the same movement patterns, but based on their own physical ability, will be able to move it faster through the water. So all the equipment, if you imagine just moving very slowly, it's going to have almost no resistance. It's neutral weighted. But as you start to increase your input, so your intensity, that resistance is going to build, much like your hand out the window. Nice and easy when you're going slow. When you start getting on the highway, your hand's going to go back, a lot more resistance. So it builds in the same manner. So it allows that versatility. It's super safe because you literally can't move it beyond your own capability.
Yeah,
So it's going to top out.
you're in
Yeah.
so much more control, I think, of the power and the oomph and the
Um,
speed of it,
yeah.
right? So,
And as you fatigue, you're naturally going to slow down, and that's going to lessen the resistance.
mhm.
So it definitely works with you. So a lot of people ask, well, why would I get something this large compared to something smaller? And it really depends. Again, this large bell is very popular with older demographics as well. Some, if they don't know how to use it, can look at it and get intimidated because it's definitely much larger. But if they're going to be moving at a very slow tempo, some people just don't like to move fast. They're going to require more surface area to get resistance, meaningful resistance. So they might just go slow and steady with these to the water, still getting good, moderate resistance versus having something smaller, less surface area and moving faster. So all the equipment can be used. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend a HIIT style workout with something like this. You'll just drain yourself really quick. You won't get the reps in that you're looking for. But if someone's just doing strength training, maybe 10, 12 reps of a set, something with more surface area might be perfect for them. So,
Great. Yeah. Yeah. And I did a quick little video a couple years ago about why use two when one will do. I love using one piece of equipment. It just trains your core so much more and gives you so much more focus. So you can certainly do that with the buoys, but certainly can do that. I love doing that with the resistance equipment. And that is if you don't have enough equipment for for a class, then if you're doing a class, I know we're talking about personal training and class, but if you don't have enough equipment for a class, then one will always do. And so that's something. And then do you want to speak on the difference between definition of resistance equipment versus buoyancy equipment and maybe
yeah.
talk about that a little bit?
So I won't give you the scientific definition, but as you can
That's
imagine,
cool.
yeah,
Buoyancy of floats, right?
when I talk to customers that are unfamiliar with the equipment, they call in. They're like, "I saw it. How does it work? What should I get?" So the first thing I do is find out have they trained in the water? Have they used foam equipment yet? Because foam works in the same, I'd say, exact but opposite manner as gravity weights. So gravity weight's always going to weigh, say, 5 or 10 pounds. You pick it up, no matter what you do with it, gravity's pulling it down at that force. Same thing with buoyancy. So you have bigger, smaller foam dumbbells, but they're always trying to get back to the surface at that given level of force. So you're basically holding it down, which again can affect certain parts of your body because you're constantly under this tension that really isn't a muscle building tension. It's just a what I'll call an unnecessary tension of your body. But foam, you're always pushing down. You have that one dimension, I'll call it, where your resistance or your muscle contraction is working against that buoyancy. Where this equipment, no matter the size, you get in the water, it's not really doing anything. I mean, it will sit there, not pushing you up, down, left, right. Once you start moving, you're going to generate that resistance. So again, up to you. You're under no tension until you start going, and then you're engaging your core, focusing on the muscles that you're actually using. The other huge benefit is since foam is only working in that one plane, basically in one
Yeah.
direction, drag is going to work in both. So you can picture someone doing arm curls in the water. So with buoyancy, when you come up, there's very little resistance, if any, that's actually assisting you in that motion. So very little bicep work. You get the resistance as you come down, and you'd have to modify your positioning to get bicep work. Where this equipment, bicep, tricep, bicep, tricep. So your one movement pattern is working those opposing muscle groups. So it's not only crazy efficient because you're working two different muscle groups in the same set, but you're also keeping muscle balance, which is very important for people that overtrain certain muscles, undertrain other ones, especially when you look at lower body. So if you're standing in the water with lower cuffs or fins on doing hamstring curls, yes, you're focusing on the hamstring, but as you extend back, you're getting, the thighs, the quads worked as well. So, a lot of benefits with that regard compared
Right.
to.
I love that. I love the way you explained that. And I know back in the certification days from AEA, and I touch on it in my certification a little bit. It's like understanding that you're not working opposing muscles with buoyancy equipment versus resistance equipment, or even with no equipment, and wrapping your head around that is kind of challenging to understand. But as far as putting a program together, it's like, okay, well, then if it's not working my bicep, what should I do to work my bicep instead? So it's a little more complicated to put together an overall balanced, training, class, right? Or program. So I know that in our ads, if you will, we said we talk about elevating strength, cardio, and mobility. What's great about this equipment is you can have just a strength training program. You can do one-on-one or small group. And I don't want to forget to mention, and Whitney's going to put it in the chat, and we'll email it out. But I just did a podcast with Tyler Valencia of KIPS. It just got released like Monday, as a matter of fact. And we talked about your equipment. We talked about strength training. We talked about the stigma of it being like not an intense workout and only for old people. And it's just not true. And I think that personal trainers are missing the mark by not getting in the water with their clients and using Hydrorevolution equipment and giving a kick butt workout for clients that they may be doing on land. And it's great for strength training for athletes. You said you used to be a football player. Your story is you recovered from, it helped you recover from injury, even though it was accidental or whatever.
Yeah.
So athletes, injury recovery, and just some variety. And whether it's or an older person who is not doing as well with gym equipment and floor equipment and so just so many different opportunities for trainers, and not just, I'm a group fitness instructor, aqua instructor, so I speak on that. But when Tyler and I talked on the podcast, it's like the opportunities for whether it's somebody recover from injury, an older person, or an athlete, or whatever the reason, strength, cardio. There's just a lot of opportunities for personal trainers that there. We felt, and Tyler and I talked about this on the podcast, like trainers are afraid of it and it's not that it's hard, it's just different. Just like you discovered, Robert, it's like, oh, whoa, wait. And then the more you dove into it and understood it, you're like, wow, this is great. And it's versatile. So we talked about strength. Tell us about, let's talk about the smaller bells. Cardio. Can we do cardio? Can we do, let's say, jumping jacks and cross country skis using the equipment? Is that a safe thing to do?
Yeah. So definitely safe. I would say my training style, I do a lot of my cardio through HIIT style workouts. So I'm getting my cardio and strength at the same time. But that being said, we actually have dedicated programs for deep water running, which move into the deep end of the pool with the flotation belt. So with the lighter
Mm.
pieces that allow kind of repetitive motion, as a runner would certainly be aware of repetitive motion. So you get in the water and you can, run in place, but you're running the same gait, but through the water. Um, Swimmers. So it's a way to, swimmers can wear our basically our aqualogic cuffs on their ankle, which add resistance to their swimming kick and drag. So it makes their swim trainings more efficient. So if they're pressed on time or they're trying to become a faster swimmer, then training under load so that when you then compete, you're faster, more powerful. So that's another form of cardio with the equipment. Trying to think. So one of my favorite movements that I do with the medium side bell is, during my hit style workout, I'll do cross country skiing movement. So I'm chest high in the water and literally staggered stance, and I'm just kind of doing a cross country ski motion, lower body, upper body, but the entire core is engaged because it's having to
Yeah, has to be.
offset
Yeah.
those rotational movements. But it's such a good cardio. And again, just 2 or 3 minutes, depending on, again, what pace you're doing, what intensity you're putting into it. But, those are very challenging movements. But as you slow them down, you could definitely do it with beginners. Again, either doing it for time or doing it for rep count. As a instructor, you have the capability of determining how you want to set the class up, but it allows people to kind of do movements like that at their own pace. But certainly with those lower resistance pieces. And so, like I said, there is a green version of this, which is a little bit smaller fin, so less drag. We even have people wear the cuffs. So this is an example of a lower body fin that would
Oh,
typically
okay.
wrap around your ankle. So you envision, if this is on your ankle, any leg movement, swing, curl is just going to add resistance to that movement. But we have smaller versions of this as well. So some people like the feeling of not holding anything. So you could put a small version of this on your wrist and just kind of run in the water. People do Tai Chi in the water,
Mm.
martial arts, aquatic boxing. There's a lot of different variety. Uh, a lot of athletes, what I like to do is say, what type of warm up do you do before you do your sports? You'll do high knees, karaoke, different movement patterns, kind of warming up hips and things like that. I'm like, all right, put a set of fins on and go back and forth in the pool doing those same movement patterns. So now they're doing movements that they're used to on land, they're doing in the water. Their joints are unloaded, so they're not impacting their joints really, but they're getting that same movement pattern, but their hips are now being challenged resistance wise through these patterns. So the mobility is increasing, resistance to injury, increasing the knee strengthening because you got the lever, the knee's right in the middle. You got the fin down on the ankle. So that knee joint is being worked with that extra bit of drag at the lower foot. And so it's all increasing your, resistance to injury for our athletes. But that translates to older individuals, weekend warriors, just anybody looking for functional fitness that's going to help them, just perform better in their day-to-day activities.
That's great. I bet you. So Kelly Bullard, who was one of our most popular presenters, new aqua presenter to us. She teaches land Zumba and was with us several years ago, but she's very great at aqua as well. And so she is going to be sponsored by Hydrorevolution. She's doing bar fight, power and grace. And I bet you she's using those. Maybe Lisa, maybe I bet you she's using those ankle things. So you sent her some toys to play with, and she was so excited and is getting really creative with the workout that she's going to give. Lisa, do you know off the top of your head if she's using the ankle weights, the resistance
She is.
ankle weights?
Yeah, she is, and she's also using the bells.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, so we'll bring out all the toys for Fitness Fest. I am doing a bring out, as a matter of fact, that's what it's called. Bring out all the toys. I am doing a Sunday. I don't know who put me at the last class of the day, but that's where I am on Sunday. I don't know who's in charge there, but no, I'm excited to do it. I'll be doing using noodles and buoys, but also the Hydrorevolution as well. So I will be doing that. And then Irene with Aqua, she will be with us again this year, and she's gonna. You said, Robert, what kind of Hydro Revolution does she like to
She
use?
she
The lighter
uses
resistance.
this
Does she?
style
Okay.
for cuffs, but she uses so this is the high resistance blue. This is the medium resistance. You can see it's about an inch smaller. She likes to use the green, which is even one level smaller, which basically is again just gives that bit of extra resistance throughout the movement pattern. It's not enough to, you know, I'd say extremely tire you out, but you're going to feel more muscle being worked throughout your workout. So again, just makes it more of an efficient workout. It's kind of just gives it that extra pump.
Yeah, and let's be honest, we do work with seniors more than anything, and Irene will bring that component of offering options with something, some variety, still adding some strength, and she'll be doing some aquatic exercise for older populations. And then you will be doing all things resistance equipment, a 1 hour master class bright and early at 7 a.m. So we'll have lots of your equipment at Fitness Fest. You will have a booth there. So it will be on sale. We're going to have some great sales on it at Fitness Fest in Phoenix, April 17th through the 19th. So we'll have some great stuff. Um, and let's see. What else? What else? What else do we want to talk about? What did you think you can spotlight Mabel without getting rid of everybody, and she could show the pink? Um, there we go. So that's the pink because she loves pink because it's her favorite color. Just kidding. I don't know. That's not really the reason. Now, is the pink, two colors are the same? Is it the pink and the gray?
Pink and the
Yeah,
smoke are the same
the
size. This is
smoke.
a
That, yeah.
medium. We I tend to say this is our most versatile size because it does allow that cardio that you talked about, just slow, moderate pace for extended reps. But if you do pick up your intensity, and I tend to work out, I'd say 85 plus intensity, I'm usually getting about 30 to 35 reps for a set. And then I'll go to the next one. I'll do a circuit. And this is a great size for that because when you hit that second, round of, your circuit, you feel that blood immediately. And yes, you're working the muscles out, but you're breathing, everything's working in conjunction. So I find this to be one of my favorites. I do tend to use the larger ones too for certain muscle groups, certain exercises. And it's great because you can just easily grab one, grab the other, drop sets for, strength people that are used to gym sets. There's all different ways you can use these to really fatigue yourself out if you're looking for total muscle development. Still possible in the water. We have rugby players, football players, athletes that use this type of stuff during their season because they're already getting banged up. Half of them are already injured throughout the year. So the less they have to focus on, gravity weights, pounding their body, working the joints down, they can get in the water, recover. They're recovering at the same time they're maintaining, and you can even grow muscle with this type of equipment, which is amazing. So
Awesome. And one of our other clients, DC Ranch, Mabel was mentioning in the chat. Mabel teaches aqua fitness for us, and she's also the expo manager for Fitness Fest. But she said one of the students, she bought them, a lot of them herself, and then she brings them to the different classes. And then everybody, what's this? Because it's different, and then they tend to buy them like individually. And some of our clients bought them, and you mentioned that one of the ladies bought the fins is for herself off of Hydro, right, Mabel?
Yeah, she purchased, I think it might have been for Black Friday sale or extended Black Friday sale, and I just happened to teach one day there, and the ladies were they went crazy over these, and I let them know about the sale. And so they purchased them. And the next time I was there, one of the ladies, she's, putting the ankle fins on, and I let her do the workout with those on, because she was clearly a more advanced, and you could tell. So, and she did great. She loved it. She loved it. And the other ladies loved the hydro bells. And I personally started off with the green ones at a workshop that I did with an AEA instructor. And it was more of like a hit style speed workout. And I thought these were just amazing, and I got a pretty good workout. But with most of the populations that I teach right now, I find that I think the middle of the road, like if I have both the black and the pink, because when I do get the guys, obviously I'm just not going to make them use the pink ones. So I'm gonna, my guys are gonna get the black ones, and the ladies love the pink ones. So I have both, and everyone that uses these loves them. They love them. And so that's why I just like to carry them around with me, because I just feel like everyone has a really great experience when I teach my
Yeah.
classes.
We
Yeah.
have them at the Villa Mirage Resort that we have, and I know you teach at Links and you bring your own there. So thanks
Yes.
for sharing that. And I didn't, the fins, this was also dating myself again, probably 20, 25 years. They used to be yellow, right? Is this same company, right? Aqualogic, maybe? They were yellow with red, and I actually created a program called Fin with a Fin, and I did workshops on them. Connie probably remembers. It was like a million years ago. Finally got rid of them, Whitney. Sorry, we they're that old. Weren't they? They were yellow.
So we did have some other color ranges back in the early 2000s, back late 90s, early 2000s. And yes, they've kind of gone through iterations. The fins themselves used to
They
be,
look different than that.
yeah, they were
Yeah,
a solid color
yeah,
that was riveted to the Velcro strap. But what happens with
yeah.
Velcro? Velcro wears out.
Ex-
And if
That's
you're
right.
plastic
That's
riveted
why
to the
they only
Velcro,
lasted 20 years and not.
yeah. So, there was all kinds of workarounds to get those to stay on after the Velcro wore out. But what we did is we did a redesign where we allowed now the straps, are pretty modular. So all the fins can work with we have one strap size that can work with all three fin sizes, but the fins can be taken off. You can put on new Velcro, new padding as needed. So better for the environment, better for, budget. And it allows you to renew a set, much more
Oh,
easily.
yeah, that's
And
great.
when we did that, we came up with the medium size because before it was just a large and a small or a high resistance, low resistance. We launched that with a medium and now have three to match the three sizes of bells.
I love it. And I don't know if we've talked about this much on this call. We were talking about it before we got on,
Yeah.
but the lifespan of the equipment, like the buoyancy equipment and the noodles, they tend to, they break apart. And I think we've all been through it where, instructors are like, this stuff is not as buoyant. It's not as it's not serving its purpose. It's not doing its job. And, facilities tend to just hang on to it. It's certainly not good for your pool filter either, but it's not, it's shredding. So obviously that's not good. So your resistance equipment we were talking about it may cost a little more, but you've got such some great discounts and deals. So we'll talk about that in a second, but it lasts a lot longer. So it's definitely more cost effective.
Yeah, especially like I said, the upper body bells, those are polycarbonate, ABS, different materials, but those you should have almost an indefinite lifespan on those if they're taken care of, meaning not slammed against the floor or anything like that. But the fins and our aqua strength fins, these guys here, just different designs, but they both work, the same functionality as far as resistance to the water, creating drag. But the pads and Velcro on both brands can be renewed or, purchase a kit. And we sell those in bulk too for facilities. So it becomes very economical. So depending on chemicals, water temperature, use, whether they're rinsed with fresh water, all those things will come into play much with any sort of fabric in a pool environment. But we have some facilities that get many years of use. And unfortunately, some of the hot water therapy locations, they're looking maybe a year or so. But again, the amount of people they're in the water the entire time the facility's open, they have people training with them, getting the rehab they need. So it's, invaluable as far as what you're getting out of it. And people are like, oh, 70, at retail, say $70 for a set of fins. People are like, wow, that's expensive. I'm like, really, how much did your running shoes cost? And how often
Yeah,
do you
no,
need to get
twice
a new
that.
pair of running shoes if you're an actual runner? So yes, if you don't use them, everything's expensive. Why do you spend money on it? But if you use it, you're going to get results. And if you use it a lot, yes, the wear items over a year, 2 years, but for $25, you renew it. It's like new. That is a much better investment than your pair of Nike running shoes that cost you $120, $130. So
Right, right. Well, we've got we try to keep our calls around 30 minutes. We are at 37 right now, but we've had a great conversation with Robert Mitchell with Hydro Revolution. We are excited to have him and and a lot of the people who are going to be popping on listening to the recording. They're aqua people. And so we talked about Kelly and you and me who are going to be and Irene who are going to be using it, but we also have Connie Lagerhausen, who happens to be on the call, doing aqua cues, cueing techniques for aqua fitness, the aqua fitness professional. We have we have Manuel Velasquez coming back to us, who's also so popular, and Kelly is doing a couple other aqua workshops. So we have FitnessFest. If Whitney can put the link in the chat, we will, for people listening on the recording or who want to pop in here, fitnessfest.org/fitnessfest. We have January 31st at the end of the day. Our prices are going up. We're on early bird prices right now. So Hydro Revolution, hydrorevolution.com. You can see the variety. There's other equipment besides what Robert was talking about too. So check it out. There's some discounts that Whitney, I think, put in the chat for individual use new year. So we're still on the new year. If you want to just contact Robert directly and you've got a facility that you'd want bulk, or if you want to talk to Robert or me via email, let's see, we'll put your email in the chat too, which is what, Robert?
it's Robert at hydrorevolution.com.
Easy, easy. And don't be uppercasing that R.
It still works.
No, I know it does on email, but yes, it's just a little joke. We all
No,
we all want
to
to uppercase your R in Hydro Revolution, but it's not. It doesn't matter on email. That's correct.
I thought you meant my name. I'm like, Robert. That's fine.
Oh, okay. No, that we have to uppercase, yes, in real life, in real time. But yeah, no, in Revolution. So yeah. Anything else that we want to chat about, or we'll wrap it up? If not, we hope to see you at Fitness Fest. Anyone listening or that's on, and Robert, we look forward to seeing you. We'll keep in communication about our numbers and how much equipment and what Kelly wants and all that. Anything else, Robert, you want to end with, or anybody else?
Yeah, the only other thing I'd say is we're developing an online app, not only for consumers, but we hope to roll it out to our group fitness trainers as well, facilities. So I think that's been kind of a little missing component, which will help out when you're trying to onboard to a new facility. So that hopefully we get something later this spring, early summer. So something to look forward to.
You have you have videos too on your website.
Videos.
You have
most
some
of our
training
stuff
videos.
is geared towards the end consumer, but as a trainer, you can look at the free content we have and literally develop
yeah. Whether they steal moves or they use it in their classes or for their clients, great. Yeah. So hydrorevolution.com and check out my podcast too, or Tyler's podcast, which I was the guest. So we'll definitely share that. I got to promote myself too, Robert. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's promoting you too, because we talk about your equipment, because Tyler loves the equipment. I love the equipment. It's all good. And
I was
We'll
on with
see.
Tyler about a year and a half ago. You can look through his archives.
All right. We'll look through the archives. We'll see you again. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you soon. We'll see everybody soon. Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank
Bye
you,
bye.
Janice. Thank you, everybody. All right. Bye bye.